The story begins with a legendary figure standing beneath the sky, a sword resting firmly in her hand. In this country, there once existed a female knight whom everyone called the strongest. Her reputation was known far and wide. People in towns and cities constantly talked about her achievements. No matter how powerful her opponents were, no matter how difficult the battle became, she had never lost a single fight. To ordinary people, she was less like a human and more like an unstoppable force of nature. So when rumors suddenly began spreading that she was leaving the Knight Order, the entire country was shocked. Nobody could understand why the strongest knight would abandon the very organization that had made her famous. Meanwhile, at the headquarters of the Astrum Knights, a woman was explaining the situation to a young man named Carlo. According to her, the Knight Order had been suspended, leaving many knights without a place to belong for the time being. Carlo listened quietly, although he couldn't help wondering why this woman always seemed so harsh whenever she spoke to him. Then she suddenly asked him for a favor. Not a small favor either. She wanted Carlo to take care of one particular knight. More specifically, she wanted them to live together for a while. Naturally, Carlo was confused. But then she revealed the real reason behind her request. The goal was simple. Carlo needed to teach her what happiness felt like. And just like that, the strongest knight in the country was entrusted to him. Before long, Carlo brought the knight to his home. The mansion itself was enormous, originally belonging to his grandfather's palace. The place was so large that it almost felt empty. As Carlo guided her inside, he explained that he was the only one living there now. The girl simply listened in silence. In fact, silence seemed to be her natural state. Trying to make her feel comfortable, Carlo showed her the room he had prepared. He had genuinely put effort into it. The room contained luxurious furniture and various decorations. There was even a stuffed rabbit waiting on the bed. As she quietly sat down, Carlo suddenly began regretting the advice he had received from his sister. Apparently, girls loved stuffed animals. At least that was what she had told him. Standing there awkwardly, Carlo wondered if he had gone overboard. But although the knight remained silent, the atmosphere somehow suggested that she appreciated the effort. It wasn't obvious. She wasn't the type to openly express her emotions. Still, Carlo could tell she didn't dislike it. Wanting to be helpful, he told her that if she needed anything at all, she only had to ask. Her response came immediately. She didn't need anything. As long as she had a place to sleep, that was enough. Everything else was unnecessary. The answer was exactly what Carlo expected from someone who had spent her entire life as a knight. Still, he accepted her words without argument. And so, their unusual life together began. 1 year passed. A lot could change in a year. Inside her room, Alba sat comfortably on her bed. Surrounding her were numerous stuffed animals. The same woman who once claimed she needed nothing was now quietly spending her free time playing with them. The contrast was honestly adorable. Unfortunately for her, Carlo happened to walk in at exactly the wrong moment. Seeing the collection, he casually asked if she wanted more stuffed animals. The reaction was immediate. Alba froze. Then her face turned red with embarrassment. She quickly complained that he should knock before entering someone's room. Carlo blinked in confusion. He had already knocked. Despite her attempts to hide it, it was obvious she had settled into her new life surprisingly well. As if proving it, Alba reached for her favorite stuffed animal, a cat, and hugged it tightly. The sight alone showed how much she had changed. Sometime later, Carlo was working in the yard when Alba returned home. As usual, he welcomed her back. However, something immediately caught his attention. The clothes she was wearing. Carlo stared for a moment before asking about them. Alba casually explained that they were simply her everyday clothes. That answer only made Carlo more confused. In his mind, a possibility slowly formed. Maybe she didn't actually own any normal civilian clothing. After all, she had spent most of her life as a knight. Without thinking too much about it, Carlo suggested that they go shopping for clothes together sometime. Alba immediately rejected the idea. No hesitation. No consideration. Just a direct refusal. As she brushed her hair aside, Carlo found himself refusing to give up so easily. Seeing her struggle with her long hair, he casually offered to help tie it. Then he reached out. The moment his hand approached, Alba stopped him. Her reaction was surprisingly strong. "Don't touch." The words came out firmly enough to make Carlo freeze. Alba immediately walked away. Meanwhile, Carlo hurriedly apologized. He explained that he had only reacted that way because helping with hair reminded him of taking care of his sister. Alba eventually told him she appreciated everything he had done for her. But she also wanted him to stop fussing over her so much. Watching her leave, Carlo couldn't help feeling discouraged. Standing outside the mansion, he began wondering if she secretly hated him. Could living together really work if things stayed like this? Time passed. Another year went by. One day, Carlo was sitting on the sofa searching through some documents when Alba suddenly approached him. Noticing her standing there, he casually asked what was on her mind. Instead of answering immediately, Alba stepped closer. Then she surprised him. Holding a hair tie in her hand, she quietly made a request. She wanted him to tie her hair. For a moment, Carlo simply stared. After all, this was the same person who had once refused to let him touch her. Still, he happily agreed. As he carefully tied her hair, neither of them said much. The silence felt comfortable now. Natural. Once he finished, Carlo noticed something. Alba looked happy. It wasn't a dramatic smile. It wasn't an emotional speech. Just a small expression that spoke louder than words. At some point, without either of them realizing it, living together had started going very well. Later, Carlo noticed an injury on Alba's face. Naturally, he immediately asked what had happened. Alba explained that she had gotten involved in a fight. Since she was a little rusty, she had made a mistake and ended up injured. To Carlo, that explanation wasn't nearly good enough. He insisted they treat the wound immediately. Alba disagreed. She claimed she didn't need help. The injury would heal on its own. Carlo tried explaining that wasn't how wounds worked. Unfortunately, Alba completely ignored him and announced that she was going to take a bath first. Watching her leave reminded Carlo of the person she used to be. The Alba from years ago. The woman who always preferred handling everything alone. Back in the present, the two of them were spending time together in the kitchen. Carlo asked Alba to help chop vegetables. Just seeing her participate was unusual enough that he commented on how rare it was for her to help with cooking. Unfortunately, things quickly went wrong. Carlo suddenly noticed her hands shaking while holding the knife. A moment later, Alba admitted she had cut herself. Then, to Carlo's surprise, she asked him to take care of it. For a second, he almost couldn't believe what he had heard. The woman who once refused all help was now actively asking for it. Carefully taking her hand, Carlo examined the injury. Soon, a bandage was wrapped around her finger. As they sat together afterward, Alba stared at the food they had prepared. A bowl of stew sat on the table beside a plate of omelette rice. Looking at the meal, Alba quietly asked if Carlo was actually going to eat it. The question alone felt strangely meaningful. Years ago she would never have cared. Now she wanted to know. Later that day, Alba noticed Carlo preparing to leave. Curious, she asked where he was going. Carlo explained that he had to attend a ball for work. The moment she heard that, Alba lowered her gaze. Then she quietly asked if there would be women attending the event. Carlo admitted he wasn't particularly excited about going either. Then an idea suddenly crossed his mind. Why not invite her? He asked if she wanted to come along. As expected, Alba immediately refused. She couldn't understand why he would even consider bringing her. Carlo accepted her answer. Before leaving, however, he looked at her and complimented her appearance. He told her she looked amazing in that dress. Alba silently watched him. Then Carlo turned toward the door. He was about to leave. But before he could take another step, a hand reached out from behind him. Alba grabbed him. For a moment, everything became still. Then she quietly told him not to let his eyes wander while he was at the ball. Carlo gently took her hand. A smile appeared on his face. Promising that he would return soon, he headed out. And with that sweet moment, this part of the story comes to an end. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Our goal is 1,000 likes, and part 2 will be uploaded within 4 days. Thanks for watching. The story continues with Carlo making another discovery about Alba's daily routine. One morning, or at least what Alba considered morning, Carlo notices movement outside the mansion. Curious, he steps outside and finds Alba already training. Even though she is no longer a knight, her sword moves through the air with practiced precision. Carlo stares for a moment before asking, "What are you doing?" Alba stops and looks at him. "Oh, you're awake. Just my morning training." Carlo glances at the dark sky. Morning training? In his mind, he can only think one thing. Morning? It's probably 3 in the morning. Most people are still asleep. Apparently, Alba is not most people. Trying to reason with her, Carlo reminds her that things are different now. You're not a knight anymore. You could sleep in a little. Unfortunately, Alba immediately shakes her head. No. I must always remain strong. The answer comes naturally. For Alba, strength isn't just important. It's part of who she is. Watching her continue training, Carlo can't help worrying. No matter how much time passes, she still pushes herself relentlessly. What is it going to take to get her to actually rest? The story then shifts to the present day. A lot has changed since then. This time, Alba is comfortably asleep in bed, surrounded by stuffed animals. The woman once feared as the strongest knight in the country now sleeps peacefully beside plush companions. Slowly her eyes begin to open. Something smells incredible. The aroma drifting through the mansion immediately catches her attention. Still half asleep, Alba hugs her favorite stuffed animal tightly before taking another breath. Whatever is being cooked downstairs smells too good to ignore. Before long, she makes her way downstairs and discovers the source. It's Carlo. He's busy preparing breakfast. The moment he notices her, he smiles. Good morning. Breakfast is almost ready. Alba quietly enters the kitchen. Carlo immediately notices that she still looks sleepy. She doesn't even try to deny it. At the same time, her excellent sense of smell is making things worse. Her stomach is practically begging for food. Seeing this, Carlo presents her with a piece of cake. I baked this morning. Help yourself. Then he reveals the source of his confidence. According to his sister, girls love sweet things. It sounded like good advice. At least in theory. Alba stands up. I appreciate the gesture, but I'll pass. Carlo blinks. I have no need for a treat. You should eat it yourself. Then she calmly walks away. The rejection isn't cruel. It's simply Alba being Alba. Still, Carlo can't hide his disappointment. After all, he really wanted her to enjoy it. The story then jumps forward. Later, Carlo returns home and notices something unusual. Alba is sitting quietly in a chair. And in front of her is the exact same cake she claimed she didn't want. The moment she notices Carlo looking at her, she freezes. Then she quickly tries to hide the evidence. Unfortunately, it's too late. Carlo walks over with a smile. That's the cake I made yesterday. Alba immediately becomes awkward. Meanwhile, Carlo feels surprisingly happy. The fact that she actually ate it means more than he expected. She accepted his effort. Even if she couldn't admit it directly. Trying to act normal, Alba holds the plate toward him. I saved some for you too. The gesture catches Carlo off guard. But instead of taking it, he simply smiles. You can have the whole thing. The response immediately gets Alba's attention. The whole thing? Her eyes widen. For a brief moment, all attempts at acting calm disappear. She looks genuinely delighted. In fact, she begins imagining herself eating the entire cake by herself. The thought alone seems to make her day much better. A little later, Carlo decides to invite Alba somewhere. He wants to show her the beautiful mimosa tree. So he asks if she would like to take a walk with him. To his surprise, she quietly agrees. Although walk might not be the word Alba has in mind. The moment they leave together, she immediately starts acting more like a bodyguard than a companion. Still, Carlo successfully gets her to come along. As they make their way toward town, people begin staring. And honestly, it's easy to understand why. Alba's presence is overwhelming. Even without armor, she gives off an intense pressure. Years of battle have left a powerful impression on everyone around her. The townspeople can't help looking. Walking beside her, Carlo finds himself looking at Alba as well. Not because of her reputation, but because she's beautiful. There's also something incredibly dignified about the way she carries herself. Even while simply walking through town, she stands out. Eventually, Alba notices him staring. Immediately, she calls him out. Carlo snaps back to reality. Then Alba asks a question that perfectly reflects her way of thinking. Are you looking for an opening to attack? The question catches Carlo completely off guard. He immediately panics. No. He quickly denies it and apologizes. To Alba, years of combat have shaped the way she views the world. Even now, her instincts never fully switch off. The story then returns to the present day. The two finally arrive near the mimosa tree. Spring has arrived. Flowers sway gently in the breeze, creating a calm and peaceful atmosphere. Looking around, Carlo smiles. Spring is finally here. As he says those words, his gaze naturally drifts toward Alba. And that's when he notices something. She looks happy. Not the distant Alba who first arrived at the mansion. Not the woman who insisted she needed nothing. The Alba standing beside him now is different. She's brighter, warmer, more expressive. Little by little, she has changed. Realizing he's staring again, Carlo quickly apologizes. Unfortunately, Alba notices immediately and points it out. The situation becomes slightly awkward. At the same time, Alba casually remarks that he still hasn't left any opening. Even during a peaceful walk, part of her mind remains focused on combat. But Carlo notices something else. something much more important. Alba seems unusually prepared for this outing. The more he thinks about it, the more obvious it becomes. She didn't simply agree because he asked. She had actually been looking forward to this walk from the very beginning. And for someone like Alba, that realization means more than words ever could. If you want part 3 of the story, just give me 300 likes, thanks. In the next scene, Carlo and Alba, they both are walking together in the bazaar. Everyone is used to stare Alba. Watching this, Carlo said to Alba, "Can you stay behind me? This place is not looks real and normal." And suddenly a guy appear and stole Carlo's wallet and run away. Carlo said, "Watch out, he looks dangerous." But a knight does not care about the consequences, and she trying to jump and beat the hell off Tioa. Thief and get back Carlo's pockets. Alba said pickpockets are all over the place. Our MC got a little bit confused, but he still says thanks to Alba. People got shocked, they did not believe in their eyes. Carlo said you totally overdid it, it was a great job. But she replied it was not a big deal for her right now, she just simply not acting as a knight anymore. Carlo simply explained to Alba, maybe just hold them back or something. Next time let's try be a little gentle, okay? Violence is not a good option. But Alba did not like the idea. She got sad, but our MC cheered him up by saying, "Thank you, you looked really cool." Alba said to Carlos, scolding me and then praising me, "You are a weird guy, you weirdo." 1 year later, in this scene, they both walking together in the bazaar to get some bread. As he was about to buy the bread, suddenly a guy running from behind used to snitch bag of bread from Carlo's hand and running. But it was a bad day for a thief. Alba confront him and saying, "Give it back, I'll let you go if you do it now." He had no other choice to give them back. But Alba said, "Sorry to our MC, I messed up again. I told you not to let your guard down." But he got shy and said, "Thanks, I'll be more careful." "You are amazing, Alba." Alba used to stare Carlo and said, "Well, obviously," as they both walking together to home. She was a knight, even opponent way bigger than Alba, she does not care and apparently no match for her. To take them down, a bigger guy is a piece of cake for her. She's a knight. In the next scene, Alba sitting on the chair while eating the piece of cake and enjoying tea. Carlo said, "There's still more, you want anything?" But she replied, "I'm still not used to this." While holding the kettle in his hand, Carlo said, "It's important to take a break every day," and he messed up. But suddenly, Alba catching the kettle and saying, "Is this part of the break too?" She said, "Are you okay? Did you burn yourself? That was really hot." But he replied, "You're overacting, I'm fine." But she replied, "No, your hands are more important." She did not know what to say because that's the first time anyone worry about her. Carlo holding the hand of Alba and showing care. You can't even compare those two. In the end, she just let them handle it. Guys, if you want me to continue to creating this kind of amazing manga recap, please appreciate my work by like and subscribe to my channel. This is what I want from your side. I need your support. Give me 1000 like on this video and I'll upload the part 4. Thank you so much. The next chapter begins with Carlo preparing dinner for Alba. He leaves a plate with soup, bread, and an apple before quietly stepping out of the room. Alba watches him leave, while Carlo can't stop thinking about the strange situation he has found himself in. It has already been a week since Alba moved into his house, and honestly he has no idea what he is doing. Sitting alone in the library with a cup of tea and several books spread across the table, Carlo tries to read. Unfortunately, he cannot focus at all. He has always lived a quiet life by himself. He never had much reason to get close to women, so suddenly living with someone like Alba feels completely overwhelming. As he sits there, he remembers the person responsible for all of this. Louise, his former senior from school and now an operations assistant for the Night Order. She was the one who practically forced Alba into his care. Even back in school, Louise was always challenging him to fights, even though Carlo constantly reminded her that he wasn't a knight or a professional fighter. For some reason she always enjoyed bothering him. Carlo takes another sip of tea and thinks that he originally believed Louise would calm down once she started her career. Clearly he was wrong. Eventually he decides that enough is enough. Instead of continuing to complain to himself, he is going to speak to her directly. He wants to tell her that this situation is way beyond what he can handle. Not long after, Carlo meets Louise and immediately asks why she suddenly pushed Alba onto him. It has only been a week and he already feels completely lost. Louise doesn't seem surprised by his reaction. She points out that he barely knows Alba yet. Carlo argues that he still doesn't know the full story and feels completely unprepared for this responsibility. At that moment, Louise finally explains more about Alba. She tells him that Alba is one of the strongest warriors among the knights. On the battlefield, she is exceptional. The problem is that fighting is practically the only thing she knows. Outside of combat, she struggles with almost everything else. Meanwhile, back at Carlo's mansion, Alba remains on guard as always. When a mailman arrives carrying a letter for the owner of the house, Alba immediately mistakes him for an assassin. The poor man quickly explains that he is just delivering mail. Back with Louise, Carlo admits that he feels like every conversation with Alba ends with her dodging whatever he says. He stands up in frustration and admits that he genuinely doesn't know how to live with someone like her. Louise suddenly starts laughing. Carlo asks what is so funny. To her surprise, Carlo had casually called Alba beautiful. According to Louise, he is probably the first person who has ever described her that way. Carlo doesn't understand why that's such a big deal. Louise then reveals the painful reality of Alba's life. Most nobles don't see her as a woman. They call her a savage. Damaged goods. A pawn. Despite everything she has done protecting people, all she receives is prejudice. She spends her life fighting for others, yet almost nobody treats her with basic kindness or gratitude. Hearing this completely changes Carlo's perspective. The more he listens, the sadder he feels. Louise explains that what Alba lacks most isn't strength or skill. What she lacks is being treated like a normal human being. And that's exactly why she brought Alba to him. She believes Carlo is the kind of person who can give Alba the respect that everyone else has denied her. Later that night, Carlo walks home carrying a small gift while reflecting on everything Louise told him. He feels pathetic for complaining so much without understanding what Alba has gone through. When he arrives, he finds Alba standing outside the house in full armor. Confused, he asks why she's still wearing it. Alba calmly explains that she is guarding the perimeter. Carlo quickly hands her the letter that arrived earlier. After opening it, he realizes it came from his sister. He thanks Alba for receiving it on his behalf. Alba simply responds that she has successfully completed her guard duty and prepares to continue standing watch. Carlo immediately stops her. That night, he invites her to eat dinner together instead of remaining outside alone. The following morning, Carlo wakes up wondering what he should make for breakfast. Then he hears a strange voice outside. When he investigates, he discovers Alba already training intensely. She is completely focused on her practice and doesn't seem interested in stopping anytime soon. Carlo greets her. Without interrupting her training, Alba returns the greeting. Carlo tells her that breakfast will be ready soon and asks her to come eat. She simply tells him to call her when it's finished. Later, at the dining table, Carlo feels relieved when Alba actually joins him for breakfast. However, he quickly notices something unusual. She eats at an unbelievable speed. Carlo stares in shock and tells her that she can slow down if she wants. Alba explains that spending too much time eating could prevent her from reacting to enemies immediately. Carlo once again reminds her that there are no enemies here. Within moments, she finishes the entire meal. Then something interesting happens. After drinking some hot soup, Alba makes a slight expression. Carlo immediately notices and asks if she burned herself. Alba calmly confirms that the soup is hot. He suggests cooling it down first, but Alba insists there's no need. Carlo moves closer and gently checks on her. Following advice from his younger sister, he tries to take better care of Alba instead of simply leaving her alone. He tells her that burning herself isn't good and promises to get water. For perhaps the first time, Alba becomes slightly flustered. She doesn't show it openly, but internally she's confused by Carlo's kindness. When he returns with a jug of water, Alba drinks the entire thing almost instantly. Afterward, she asks what she should do next. Carlo tells her she can simply relax. Naturally, Alba refuses. To her, relaxing feels the same as being lazy. Realizing she needs something to do, Carlo starts assigning tasks. First, he asks her to do the laundry. Unfortunately, Alba is so strong that she accidentally destroys some of Carlo's clothes while washing them. She immediately apologizes. Carlo assures her it's fine and suggests trying something else. Next comes dishwashing. That goes exactly as well as you'd expect. She breaks the dishes too. Instead of getting angry, Carlo immediately checks whether any glass shards are stuck in her hand. After that, he suggests cleaning the house. Alba proudly claims she used to be good at cleaning during her apprentice days. Moments later, she starts cleaning at incredible speed. When Carlo checks on her progress, Alba accidentally knocks him over in the process. The floor ends up soaked, the room becomes a mess, and Alba starts feeling completely useless. For someone who excels at everything in battle, failing simple household tasks is surprisingly painful. Carlo notices her mood dropping. When he checks her hand, he discovers that she actually does have a shard stuck in it. Alba looks confused. Instead of scolding her, Carlo is worrying about her injuries. She genuinely doesn't understand why. Carlo simply tells her that it's common sense to care when someone gets hurt. Then he suddenly rushes into the kitchen and returns holding a tightly sealed jar. He explains that it's his favorite jam and that he has never been able to open it. Alba opens it effortlessly. To her, it's incredibly easy. Carlo is amazed. He thanks her sincerely because now he can finally use the jam again. This small success changes things. After that, Alba starts opening jars around the house before Carlo even asks. Watching this, Carlo realizes something important. Alba's incredible strength isn't a problem. Maybe he simply needs to find jobs that actually make use of it. As he thinks about what she could do next, he also remembers her injured hand and starts worrying whether he should really be asking her to use her strength so soon. Meanwhile, his sister points out that he's worrying way too much and that the injury isn't a big deal. Even so, Carlo can't help caring about Alba's well-being. After everything he has learned, he wants to make sure she's treated like a person first, not just a knight.